All Indiana Jones movie, ranked, with Indiana Jones hanging up the hat and whip in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. It's time to rank all 5 of his cinematic adventures. Indiana Jones has shared many adventures over the decades. Indiana Jones is a cinematic icon, a character that will be remembered in history as the rugged, Nazi-punching archaeologist played by Harrison Ford. With now 5 Indiana Jones movies, it's time to compare what could well be every Indiana Jones movie that will ever be made, with the sun finally setting on the beloved character as he hangs up the bullwhip and fedora, or does he? With the release of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, dear old Indy might finally get his well-deserved rest, and potential final happy ending. Yet, with 5 Indiana Jones movies, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is the third Indiana Jones movie and was considered the finale of the trilogy. This film is near perfect in every way, with perfect direction from Spielberg. The Last Crusade follows Indiana Jones as he races the Nazis in search of the Holy Grail. Everything down to the final shot is beloved, as what could be more iconic than ending the series with the heroic characters literally riding off into the sunset? It's an exciting story that stands separate from the Indiana Jones trilogy. What was supposed to be Indy's final ride on cinema is met with critical and audience acclaim for all the right reasons, from its serial adventure, charm, and electric duo of Ford and Connery. Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark was a film that started it all thanks to a collaborative vision between Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. From the cold opening of this motion picture, audiences knew they were in for an exciting ride the moment they saw Indy getting chased by a giant boulder. And who could forget their first hearing of that iconic theme by John Williams? The introduction to the rugged archaeology professor Indiana Jones is one of the reasons why the character has remained such an icon in cinema for decades. The fact that Indy lives a double life as a daredevil archaeologist and a glasses-wearing professor teaching the youth makes for exciting storytelling. Not only does the film do a great job of showing globetrotting adventures, but it pits Indy against Nazis in a fight for lost biblical artifacts. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny may not be to the taste of many fans both old and new, but it's one of Indy's adventures that deserves its time in the sun. Indiana Jones is forced out of retirement to chase his goddaughter, as a fanatic Nazi scientist working for NASA discovers with Indy coming back. Especially when this is the third time it was supposed to be his final adventure. However, it's worth it for a variety of reasons. One of them being the fact that seeing Harrison Ford back in action is always a delight thanks to his love for the character, and electric charisma on screen. Not only does the Dial of Destiny not indulge in nostalgia bait for cheap thrills, it stands on its own 2 legs as a proud and personal Indiana Jones adventure. Without taking away from the fantasy, the film shows how age is affecting Indy, but it never shows him as frail and pathetic. Indy's determination for righteousness will not prevail, even with the odds stacked against him. The potential final adventure is a joyride from start to finish. Considering the film is directed by James Mangold rather than the series maestro of Spielberg, just shows how much care is put into the film, as the homage is clear, and the love for Indy is as bright as ever in this closing chapter. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is a prequel to the first Indiana Jones film. This serial adventure movie places Indiana Jones and his sidekick Short Round in India, where he is tasked with tracking down an ancient stone from an evil priest to find his way back home to America. The film is notably darker in tone than the previous adventure, and it's perhaps the most divided Indiana Jones film. There's a lot to love about the Temple of Doom. Once again, Harrison Ford puts his love and charisma into the role he clearly adores. The chemistry between Indy and Short Round is also a standout, and when the film leads into this fun duo, it's at its best. However, when it doesn't, the film takes some dark turns that may leave viewers puzzled as to the punishments of Indiana Jones, especially with the screaming dame he finds himself with one every step of the way. Some fans are turned away from the Temple of Doom due to the simplistic and often lacking plot, and the somewhat disbelief in action and set pieces. The film has more goofy elements, such as eating gorilla brains and ripping hearts from people's chests, but it doesn't mean the Temple of Doom isn't solidified as a fantastic and exciting adventure, if not a little more. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull brings the renowned archaeologist back into the camera in a new decade, for a new audience. Audiences first said goodbye to Indiana Jones 18 years before the fourth Indiana Jones film, so his triumphant return to the silver screen was met with much excitement. Sadly, it seems that modern times had caught up to Indy, and it was strange to see him in this new era against Russians and communists, as well as a sci-fi mystery rather than a biblical one. In Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Indiana Jones is still doing what he does best, getting into trouble with governments over his crusades for artifacts. However, he finds himself in a family dilemma when he uncovers the hardships of fatherhood, as well as the rekindling of a long-lost relationship with his old flame, Marion, the mother of his newly discovered son, Mutt Williams. Indy is in a race for the Crystal Skull against a new and psychic villain, Irina Sporko, leader of a Russian soldier group. The story of an older and less patient Indy with a youthful and rebellious Mutt is a great contrast to Henry Jones.